Gloria Haswell is joining us today to help with menopause and hormone balance.
Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So, how will short release practices like the 446 breath help women reduce hot flash receptivity and regain immediate clarity?
Initially, when we have a hot flash, it's very abrupt. We don't really expect to experience it, and so it can catch us off guard. And one of the techniques that can become a habit is that when you experience that, you can do a breath technique that is, I call it a 446. You inhale for 4, and then you hold it for 4 seconds. And then as you exhale, you take your time to just properly exhale by you will like maybe even purse your lips like you're going to blow through into a balloon, and you moderate the amount of breath that comes through so that it's almost like putting pressure, like blowing into a balloon. And so you just gently focus and focus when you're focusing on the breath and the ability to be able to hold that pressure. You're changing the way in which your brain is recognizing what's going on in your body. You're basically redirecting your focus. And when you do that, your mind will step in and it'll focus on the breath. It redirects what you're experiencing, and it will help to allow your body just that moment in your mind when it will take a breath itself. It's like putting a pause into your mind so that you're refocused. And when you refocus, it changes the physical experience that you're having. And so initially, when you start doing that type of a breath, it is a habit that needs to be developed. And as you remember to do it, initially, don't beat yourself up. Just remember, you think, what tool do I have? What can I do? It's like thinking about going into your medicine cabinet. You're in the kitchen and you go, what do I have in the medicine cabinet that I can go and find? And so when you ask that of yourself, you do it like a little check mark on all the different tools that you have. And once you remember it, then go ahead and start to implement it. The primary and most important thing as you go through all of these things is to not beat yourself up. Allow yourself the grace to be able to get to a point where it becomes a habit. It's more about just stopping and pausing. I call it cause for pause. And it allows you to get a momentum going and a pattern so that those micro habits become permanent habits. And it gets to a point where when you've done it repeatedly, you almost do it without thinking. And when you get to that point, it'll just seem like, oh, I forgot that I even did that. So it helps to very quickly establish a break pattern so that the hot flash starts to gain less intensity. And the faster you catch it and you interrupt the pattern of that hot flash, the faster you regain your clarity and your momentum. And it helps to keep you in the moment of your life. So I
Which,
would I would I would I would suggest doing this like even at night before you go to sleep, so that you just take a moment, and this can help to develop the pattern during the day also. So as a micro habit, it can also improve your sleep. So as you move into training your mind, you just take that moment when you remember before you drop off, you kind of scan your body, you pay attention to everything that is happening, whether you've got muscle twitches, active legs, though they call it walking leg syndrome, or even if you feel just your mind going into overwhelm. You just take a moment, you take a breath, you let everything settle down, you do a 2-minute body scan looking at all of this. And I encourage what I call mindfulness breathing. And when you do that, you're completely focused on your breath. And as you go to sleep, it will also help you to sleep deeper. And it will show that you will have a lot more restful sleep as you go, because even if it wakes you up in the middle of the night, you can then again develop the habit of transitional into that breathing.
So, how should women test these micro habits across a week?
Well, what you do is again, you're not going to be wanting to do this right before you go to sleep, but in the morning or during the day, set a time so that it's almost like having a timer on your telephone to remember to text someone or to do something. And so set a specific time. And again, if you miss the time, just catch up and put it in. But the habit of creating that similar time every single day, and you associate it perhaps with an activity of your day, that you will stop and you will have a checklist that all of the things that you've reviewed and have scanned your body and the different things that have affected you, whether your brain is in overload and you have that internal dialogue that, you start getting overwhelmed with your own internal dialogue, or if you're having the physical symptoms of the menopause, the perimenopause, and the postmenopause activities, anything that you are experiencing, make a list of all these things. And then as you do your micro habits and you start to every day make a little note next to each of these symptoms based on having done the habit, and to see how it's improved it, if it's improved it, if there is something that you've noticed that is either not being affected or has developed not so much as a side effect, but more like a result. Because as you move through relaxation processes and clearing your mind, it's I like to think about it like layers of an onion, so that as you take care of one thing, the other thing that may be either more subtle or is being covered up by the immediate experience, once that immediate experience is lessened, the next one may show up. So if that occurs, be encouraged instead of discouraged, because as you're looking at it from an encouragement standpoint, you're working in tandem with your body. You're starting to recognize the various things that are going on. And one of the things that I find in working with people for many different things is that the attitude that we have about our body, there is an emotion that is generated. Now, an emotion is energy in motion. And not only is it energetic, it also is physiological, because it will create different kinds of chemical releases in your body. And as you send gratitude and love to your body, it's different than being frustrated and angry at your body. It's like if you were working with a child. And so you're more receptive and the body will be more receptive and it will react in a similar fashion. You will have much better progress based upon the emotions that you are sending to your body as you do this as well. And so, oh, I didn't finish. I got caught up in the moment. So as you do the review each week, you just go ahead and you can start to see your progress. And being able to see your progress also helps to provide that momentum, like you feel like you're gaining ground, because you are. You're actually gaining ground about how you can manage and be more in charge of the reactions that your body has as it has it.
So, after women harvest nervous system energy, how do you recommend they recharge and harvest that energy into confident forward action every day?
That comes down to a couple of things. You have your mental, so you have your, I look at the body from a body, mind, heart, and soul perspective. And so each one of those areas, you could add that into your checklist as well. And so you could see how each of these areas are being affected by the actions you're doing. And as far as the energy that comes from that, you will have a lot more physical energy that is not in distress, because as you breathe, you're doing that relaxation process. It's changing your endorphin levels, it's changing your sympathetic levels, and as you then look at that, you will also recognize, you'll start seeing that you have a lot more time or moments of clarity and having the ability for solid focus, not being interrupted. And one of the things with your mind, as you focus, where you focus is where you go. So if you are spending time on being focused on the distress, that's where you're going to go and that's where you're going to live. And so when you come to the other area and you start focusing on the breath and focusing on those positive moments, it will help to free up more additional mental and emotional space, and it will make your day a lot. I always look for words because everybody has different words they use. And I use the word cleaner because there is a lot less like agitation that is in your world. And so your brain, everything is like a cleaner thing. It's like going outside after the rain has stopped and the sun is shining and the air is cleaner. There's just less agitation inside of that. So it really helps to be able to have that, as well as the, and from a spiritual level, when you have that, it's almost like you have more energy for love and gratitude of yourself and others in the world. And it makes a difference on how you see the interactions that you're having with other people and situations.
Which relax micro habits do you recommend to improve sleep and mood?
The sleep and the mood, the micro habit, again, I'm going back to the breath. There's there are different things available, and I am not a physician. However, there are different supplements that are out there that have a lot of benefit for clearing the mind of the inner chatter. You also have to be concerned about, or concerned, concerned is probably the wrong word. You need to be more aware of and conscious of the different levels of what you're experiencing, because there are different things. So at some point, you may need to reach out to a physician if it gets too intense. But the micro habits on a daily basis, the easiest, fastest, and less costly is to actually just focus on your breathing as your first step. And then look at how the words that you are choosing in your mind to describe what's going on for you. You know, you can tell people if they say, "Oh, what's happening?" and people go, they may say, "Oh, I'm having a hot flash and it's so intense." Well, the more intense that you focus on that moment is the more intense it will repeat itself. The idea is to help diminish what you're experiencing so that it diminishes the actual experience that presents itself to you. It's not that it will necessarily stop it, but it curbs it. It makes it more palatable and easier to work through if you continue to focus on the lower point of the scale of what you're experiencing. So, changing the way you see your body, changing the physical things, the micro habits, they go beyond the physical. So you have the mental and you have the emotional as well.
Right. What safety cues and trauma-informed modifications should clinicians and women use when introducing these practices during menopause transitions?
I would begin with grounding, and a lot of people may not understand grounding. It's about gaining focus, it's about taking a breath, it's about quieting your mind. In my world, and what I talk about, inner chatter does matter. And then you also, like I said, you have the cause for pause. These little things, they may seem trite in the labels I give them, but I find them to be very powerful. It's one of those tags. It's like a memory peg that when you use it, it reminds you in a very brief moment of what you need to do. And it's much easier to do it when you do that. And so I would say the breath work, and then depending on what you're experiencing, some of the things that you can do is it's referenced, they call it self-soothing touch. And it's more about that's like part of your grounding process, because human touch, if you experience the different kinds of studies they've done, and the babies, the infants that have been born where they need to have human touch for thriving, it's more about the recognition of your body through a tactile space. And when you touch gently, even if it's like your hand, the back of your hand, or like rubbing your ear, anything gentle that you can do in public, it helps to use that as a memory peg towards a grounding tool. And as you ground deeper, or more consciously focused on grounding, and anything, I mean, even if you like need to like do this with your nose if you're in a meeting, it brings you back into focus of awareness of your own body. And it allows you that moment where you have left whatever activity is going on around you, so that you can then be internally focused. And that can allow you that moment to remember to take the breath. It can be one of those other memory pegs. And you can do different kinds of these little practices and do it with a time limit. Like I said, the breath with the 4-4-6, or you could do your touch. It could be like, just like rubbing, like I'm rubbing um, my what do you call it, my my shoulder area up here near the clavicle. And it's like it centers it, and um it's very unobtrusive. If you're in business, if you're in a meeting, or if you're in a group with people, someplace where you don't want to be so obvious, and you need to regain your own control and focus of yourself, it helps to allow that mental shift so that you can have internal observation, internal control, and bring yourself back to a place where you are creating the change in your own body.
Those are absolutely wonderful tips. And I thank you so much for bringing such hard-won wisdom into our understanding of the interaction between mind, body, emotions, spirit.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I really appreciate being able to share this with people. It's such an important tool and it's so small and it doesn't cost any money. It's nice to have
And
control over your own body.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.